Check. How do we sound? And how do we look? We'll get this squared away in a second. Awesome. Welcome to Market Psychology 101, where we look for value in the markets when there's fear and are cautious when there's greed. I wanted to do a little bit of a different type of video. I'm going to be trying this out in the near future. Have some work schedule changes coming up. So I think I'm going to be moving to some nighttime videos here shortly. And just wanted to try some nighttime live streams. I fully expect that there might be fewer people showing up, which is absolutely fine. But if you do find yourself here live, please feel free to drop a hello in the comments. Or if you have any crypto related questions or charts you would like to look at. Otherwise, I just want to jump into it a little bit and talk about some of the things I'll address in tomorrow's afternoon live stream. So a couple of things I've been looking at. Let's just get right into the charts. I've been liking these heat maps lately, these liquidation heat maps showing where there is resistance, where is support. And I also like how the heat maps show where we have confluence, at least with the moving averages as well as the fibs. So you see heavy areas of short put resistance there at around 94K. And then we have support all the way down at 82.5. Going over to the charts, 82.5, it's kind of between the 2618 and the 100 moving average. I wonder if we have a different moving average anywhere else. 82.5 would be right around here. So I guess if we were to create a lower low, that would be where we might find some levels of support. But 94, that has been the area that we are finding resistance up against. And when we go over to the last few days, let's take off our moving averages here. We can see we have run into that 94K region once, twice, three times, and are coming back down a little bit. So 94K is the line in the sand that we need to get through first. And you see another little one there at about 95. But make no mistake, I think if we chop up a little bit through 94K, maybe 95, it's kind of the fake out area. We get through there. The next levels really go all the way up to 108. And 108, I've been talking about a bit lately because, let's turn off this MACD here. Well, because a couple reasons. We can see here we have the 1618 fib, and I have this box going all the way up to 108. That's where we had these highs before. And so I'm sort of operating underneath the idea that if Bitcoin puts in any sort of head and shoulders, that would be something to watch out for. We also have the bull market support band, which is right around this area. So that's important resistance to break through as well. There's the Hull Suite indicator. This indicator, it's a little different than the bull market support band, but I like it a little bit more. The Hull Suite is basically the MACD. Wherever the MACD will need the flip positive again, that is about that area. So the bull market support band and the Hull Suite both point to this 108K area being where we would see resistance. And again, that is what we see here on the liquidation heat map as well. So Bitcoin finding some important support here at the which one was it? The 1236 fib and the 100-week moving average. Again, for tonight's video, I have it titled Nighttime Crypto Therapy. I spend some time on Twitter and see the other YouTube videos out there, and there's a lot of bearishness. And my channel is market psychology because that is what I do in my normal regular job. So I'm here as a mental health helper trying to what's the word I'm looking for? Trying to help reframe some of the negative thinking, because anytime I find there's a lot of fear in the markets, typically tends to be a good time to buy, whether near term or long term. We have had a lot of fear in the market lately, especially with stocks. So I will say, stocks, they were in extreme fear and they're climbing closer to neutrality. And crypto is still down in the deep fear area. But we see these higher lows, higher highs. These are not exciting times to be in crypto. Make no mistake about it. But I think that's what makes these opportunities even more enticing, because these opportunities don't come along very often. A lot of people, they were buying altcoins here, very excited, saying, yay, I bought the dip. But now that we're at equal value that we were in April, again, consider this April, the tariff scare. People were happy and excited. They say, you know what? I bought the dip. I got the 50-week moving average. I bought the dip. I feel wonderful. We've come back down to the same levels. Altcoins are even cheaper, and people are like, nah, forget it. Screw this stuff. Again, I think we need to be able to answer a question of why is that? What is it about the market now that you don't like even more than back here? If you are buying an asset and you believe in that asset and you think it'll do well for an alt season, then I would like to pick up that asset even more when it's cheaper. So I'm also operating under the theory that we have not had alt season yet. I'm going to keep going back to this because this is the path to alt season that has held true the last two cycles. We had our Bitcoin phase, money flowed into Ethereum, and then later at the end of the cycle, we get large caps and alt season. We see that reflected in Bitcoin dominance. All right, Bitcoin dominance, when we get that massive rotation, that is when we are moving down through those phases. This was last cycle. You can see here we had a peak in Bitcoin dominance and it started to come down. We had a secondary peak, and then again phase 3 and phase 4, and then similarly Bitcoin, we had that initial peak. And right now, if we look at the Ethereum Bitcoin chart, we can see that, well, Ethereum's price, at least compared to Bitcoin, has been moving in an upwards direction. And exciting stuff right here, at least with the Heikin Ashi. We have our first green candle in 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, almost 3 months. We have our first green candle. So we've been hanging on to this 50-week moving average. The 20 is there as well as the 382. If all of a sudden we see Ethereum Bitcoin's pairing start to move up, and again, this can happen for a couple reasons. It might be that Bitcoin stays flat and Ethereum's price moves up faster than Bitcoin's. It might be that Bitcoin goes down and Ethereum stays where it is. There's different ways that we can see this move positively, but the important thing is Ethereum is moving positively against Bitcoin. And so I think to myself, all right, well, if this is the path to alt season that we have had the last couple cycles, what has changed? And there's no secret about that. The most bearish people right now, they will tell you what has changed has been the 4-year cycle. People that believe in the 4-year cycle, they say, you know what, there's a peak every 3 years, 11 months or so, and that's it. Okay. However, I would present to you that we had 3 peaks last cycle, and the all season peak came a little bit earlier. And so, really, I do not think we can judge by a 4-year cycle anymore. Even the log regression itself, if you understand any basic mathematics, vertical, that's the y-axis, that's our log scale, factors of 10. The x-axis, that is horizontal, that is measuring time. And when you get a log regression, you see the data move up quickly and flatten out over time. So that means the x-axis and the movement along it gets stretched. We also see that in the price action. If you look at the average pullback percent for these last few cycles, we had 30 and 40% pullbacks. That's really volatile. Again, I want you to imagine this log regression as we talk about this data, but look how much more volatile this was for Bitcoin. All right, last cycle we had 20 and 30% pullbacks. There's a lot of 30% pullbacks here. This cycle we've had a lot of 20% pullbacks. So we are seeing diminished returns, but we're also seeing diminished losses as well. And so I go over to Bitcoin's chart. And again, I'm just trying to put this as far as like, just think of everything in a macro lens. And I start to think to myself, you know what, let's not overcomplicate this. Let's just take a look at some of the things we know to be true. All right. We know that Bitcoin at its lowest gets around that 200-week moving average. All right, last cycle it got even a little bit underneath it. However, if we add on the pi cycle indicator, where is that right here? Bitcoin also does not move as high above its pi cycle indicator as well. We can take a look at the log regression and see that too. Look at how these peaks come down over time. We see that in the old Bitcoin rainbow chart as well. Of course, they had to adjust it. They had to flatten it out more and have this y-axis tilt down a little bit more in order to fit Bitcoin's price action a little better. And when they did that, they saw, okay, well, Bitcoin is now fitting within this model a little bit more. Now, I do wonder, this is what they had to adjust last cycle. They had to flatten this out a little bit. I think they're going to have to do that again after this cycle. I think when the rainbow chart gets tweaked after this cycle, it will be even a little bit flatter. Now, I am looking for Bitcoin to get to the 150K plus area by the time this cycle's done. And if you're asking yourself, well, why would Bitcoin get to 150K plus? I'll present to you a number of reasons. Reason number 1, the AI bubble. I believe the AI bubble will be even larger than the .com bubble. Now, whether you agree with that or not, we can go back to the .com bubble and see that when we broke the Shiller P ratio above 40, the stock market spent another year plus over 40. We just hit 40 for the first time, and we don't even have high volatility yet like we had back here. Also, back at this time, the stock market, it went up another 25%. Could you imagine if our stock market went up another 25%? The Fed ended quantitative tightening. They are moving to quantitative easing. This is my reason number 2 why I believe that this cycle still is not ended yet. You see here, this is the federal or the U.S. central bank balance sheet. This is when they ended quantitative tightening in 2019 and when they went to quantitative easing in late 2019, 2020. The Fed has ended quantitative tightening. They are going to transition to quantitative easing really soon. So that's reason number 2 why I believe this cycle is not ended yet. Reason number 3, I think if we take a look at a chart like this, this is the overall return since the halving. People love to bring up this 4-year cycle, but when you take a look at the distance from the halving, well, even in 2013 to 2017, yeah, this was 4 years, but you see the distance from the halving was a little bit different. Now, the distance from the halving was the same between 2017 and 2021. However, remember, we had two other peaks. The peak here in April of 21, not November, and the peak here in February, March of 2020. That says 28. That was 2024. I don't know what that's talking about. Yeah. Oh, yeah. I don't know what's good. Maybe it's looking at this data down below. But for this pink chart, that was late 2024. That was March. Here it was March of 2021. You know what? Let me go to the rainbow chart and show you, because this is giving confusing dates. There you go. March, April 21. We had the 4-year cycle peak in November 21, and then here in March 2024. This was the time we had alt season. Okay, we can go back to Bitcoin dominance, see when we had alt season. It was right there in April of 21. We have not had this rotation yet. Let me say that again. We have not had this rotation yet. So quantitative easing coming back into the markets. Those are inflationary monetary policies that are coming back into the markets. We also have this rotation that we've had the last two cycles on our way to alt season, which we have not completed yet. We have the Shiller PE ratio, which tells me there is still plenty of room to run. And even though this is a time for a pullback, and pullbacks are going to happen. You can look at a chart like this, you can see all the pullbacks there are. You can look at a chart like this, and pullbacks are expected in a bull market. Again, if any of you were wishing, hoping, praying, if you had a time machine, you could just buy crypto in 2017, I truly do wonder, with the sentiment I see out there, how many people would actually survive. All right, if you were teleported with $10,000 back in 2017, go through half a dozen 40% pullbacks. It is not easy. All right, you see the sentiment that's out there right now with a 36% pullback. And yeah, that's pretty nasty. This is equal to one of our hardest pullbacks that we've had this cycle. So we had a 32% pullback back before the tariff scare, and recently we had a 36% pullback. And so if you were hoping to make money back in 2017, I think you are being tested right now. Well, would you? Could you handle it? Could you handle half a dozen 30 to 40% pullbacks? You just got a couple 30% plus pullbacks. What are you doing now? Are you dollar cost averaging? Are you still attacking Bitcoin or crypto assets as an opportunity? We have Bitcoin at the 100-week moving average, this light blue line. And whenever Bitcoin has been at or under the 100-week moving average, you can see how overall this has been a great time to buy. If we go back in time, anytime Bitcoin was at the 100-week moving average, let's go through these. Bitcoin was, of course, $2.60. None of us were buying it there. Bitcoin was $365 to $156. Okay, maybe some of you bought it there. I don't know. Bitcoin here, this was the bottom of the bear market in the 2018 post-2017 cycle. Bitcoin, a little bit under $6,000 down to $3,000. Did any of you buy it there? Bitcoin here, 7K. All right, 7.2K. This was COVID, of course, back to 5,700. How many of you bought it there? If you would have bought Bitcoin, whether it hit the 100-week moving average here at 36, or even when it was a falling knife, all right? Even if you bought Bitcoin, you said, you know what, screw it. Yeah, maybe the cycle's over, but we're at the 100-week moving average. It's good value. I'm going to buy Bitcoin for $36,600, and you still watched it go all the way down. Right now, even if you were to just buy Bitcoin at the 100-week moving average, you would still have a 130% gain. All right, and this isn't the best time to buy. So ask yourself, what is your strategy? A lot of crypto people I see out there, I am unclear at what their strategies are. And I'm here to say that I think Bitcoin at this 100-week moving average is actually pretty decent fair value. Now, if we get to the 200-week moving average or below it, I think that is absolute can't miss opportunity. But right now, what we have is we have Bitcoin. Let's go to total 3 here. We have crypto about to experience a second quantitative easing cycle. Let's add that on. This is the United States Central Bank balance sheet. And look what happened to total 3. If you don't know what total 3 is, it says right there, total market cap, excluding Bitcoin and ETH. You can see that once the Fed was moving to quantitative easing, we had a little bit of delay, and then the markets pumped. This is all of our altcoins, the large caps, the mid caps, the small caps. Now, another thing I want you to pay attention to is total 3. Once it got past its former all-time high, this was truly alt season here, February to May. It is really March and April. Now, recently, altcoins have actually held up pretty well overall. You can see we've challenged that former all-time high a couple times. We've gotten above it on the wicks, but not the candle bodies. That's what matters most. And wouldn't you know it, we are about to have quantitative easing come back yet again, and we are already right here. And so I think there is still plenty of opportunity, and I even think we're ahead of schedule as far as the flow, the path to alt season. So again, part of the reason I'm doing this video late at night, one, to start gaining interest for these nighttime videos. I think I'm going to have fun doing them. I hope you guys will join me and have fun with them too. But also just to sort of pump the brakes on some of the fear out there. We have so much extreme fear. Look where the Ethereum Bitcoin pair was when quantitative tightening stopped last cycle. That marked the very bottom. Right now, the very bottom, well, that was behind us. And so again, I think that markets are front running the quantitative easing a little bit. I think a lot of people know with this administration, love them or hate them, and I'm not here to talk about politics, pro or anti, whatever. You know, you're welcome to believe whatever you want. Love or hate them, there's no question. This administration is very pro Bitcoin. They're for easier money, and part of that philosophy is that one of the reasons you go to quantitative easing and you cut rates, they're trying to stimulate economic growth, right? If you're going to have inflation regardless, you want to have positive economic growth and not negative economic growth. If you have positive economic growth, yes, you could get stagflation, but it would be better than deflation. So, that's something to keep in mind, is that if all of a sudden we're going to QE and our risk assets are going positive, let's go to the, what's the Russell 2K, IWM. If we go to the Russell 2K, you want to see how risky the markets are. I mean, here's the Russell 2K. Again, look at the quantitative easing turning back on. Of course, we had COVID there. Everything died. But then when QE returned, with the Russell 2K, anytime we're breaking above former all-time highs, this thing just shot out of a cannon. All right. And again, where was the COVID cycle, where was the crypto cycle top or the alt season? Is right here. So, and also look where QE topped out. QE topped out in April. Crypto topped way before. So Bitcoin does not need to move exactly in lockstep with QE. We can see that from last cycle. It might move ahead of it. Now, taking a look, again, this is the Russell 2K. This is how we measure risk in the stock market. We are already right near or right at all-time highs, and QE hasn't started yet. And so I see all this fear. And ask yourself, why do we have so much fear in the market? Why? And from what I see out there, people, they believe, they know we are in a bubble. And you are correct. We are in a bubble. But how often is retail actually right about these things? Markets can remain irrational longer than you can remain solvent. This is a true statement. I think about this a lot. And again, going back to one of my cases for a positive 2026, I think this AI bubble, as far as the technology and the implications of it, the way it's going to change our society, Agree with me, disagree with me, but I believe this AI revolution will be even bigger than the dot com revolution way back here. I think all the benefits we had of the internet age, that AI is going to be even bigger from everything I've seen out there. So, with that being said, if AI is going to be even bigger of an impact on our lives, on our society, on a global scale, why couldn't the markets run up a little bit higher, a little bit longer than people expect? And so people say, you know what, we're in a bubble. And you're right. Look at the Schiller P ratio right now. If he made amazing money and he said, you know what, I'm going to hold on to my money like Warren Buffett, it's way too overbought, I would not blame you one bit. Look at where the stocks are. We are in a bubble right now. There's value out there in some sectors, but we are in a bubble. But I do think this bubble can go on a lot further than people expect. And so, again, I present to you this is, we have in the backdrop the U.S. Central Bank balance sheet. We have the Russell 2K just at around all-time highs, and we're about to switch to easier money. All right. And by the way, even looking at the Russell 2K, I saw a friend send this to me. Like, doesn't this look like a cup and handle that's just getting ready to explode? I don't know exactly. People do these shapes, and I'm like, okay, cool. There's a cup and handle. Uh, if that is a cup and handle, that's going to be huge for the markets. And everyone's talking about how, crypto this cycle is done, and it's another 4-year cycle and this and that. And I'm like, how often are we actually correct on these things? So people have been copying and pasting the 2021 cycle over what's happening right now. They say, you know what? Take a look at Bitcoin, all right? Even with the moving averages, all right? Take a look at it. We had this double top, got to the 100, came up to the 50, fell down. They're like, look at this. We're doing it again. Okay. We had a double top, came to the 50. We're going to come up, retest it, and then we're going to crash. And then it's all over. All right. You're welcome to believe that. And I think even the way people phrase it, I have an issue with. Again, this is market psychology 101. I'm here to talk about looking for opportunities when there's fear. When people are like, oh, it's over. All right. Like, even if that scenario plays out, I'm excited. I'm excited because I'm going to be picking up the lowest risk crypto asset, Bitcoin, and any great, lower risk, high potential crypto assets at these prices. If Bitcoin, again, is at this 200-week moving average, I mean, again, look, even if you bought the falling knife 200-week moving average, last cycle, that would have been 26K. So do not miss these prices, in my opinion. If we get there, 26 or the 67K now, then I think, like, why be fearful? Actually, I'm going to be excited to buy. Now, we might be in some chop, sure, but, I think, again, reframing, this is something I do in my job, working in the field of psychology. We have to be able to reframe so we don't miss opportunities and we don't, kick ourselves while we're down. McGruber 7180, appreciate you being here. Hoping you're having a good night. What do I think of Benjamin Cohen's take on this cycle? Anything you agree or disagree with? So I am familiar with Benjamin Cohen. I've seen some of his videos. I know he's the guy that talks a lot about quantitative. He talks about the QE QT a lot. And from what I remember, you'll have to correct me if I'm wrong on this, but that QE, easier monetary policy, is good for crypto. I remember him saying this in one of his videos a while ago. So I haven't seen all his stuff, recently. I don't know what he's saying now. He's a very solid, very great. Actually, out of all the junk and crap crypto YouTubers out there, I give him a lot of respect because he's not afraid to say it like it is, even though I'm sure he gets a lot of hate for it. So I would assume with QE coming back that he would be bullish on where risk assets, speculative tech assets, could go from this point. I would assume, but I don't know what Ben Cohen is saying right now at this moment. But yeah, if he still believes in the quantitative easing, and just as I was talking about with the Russell 2K, I think that is bullish for crypto. Again, I'll go back to the money flow. All right. I am not interested in timing. People want to talk about timing and 4-year cycle like it matters. Go to the rainbow chart. Okay, we have this, coincidence right here of 4-year cycle 2013, 2017, December 2017, November 2021, and October of 2025. Okay, yes, we've had peaks around 4 years, but where have we had alt season? We had alt season right after the top in 2017. We had alt season earlier, not here, not at the 4-year cycle. Remember this. If you want to believe in the 4-year cycle, then I'm here to say to you, well, what about alt season then? Alt season happened earlier. Okay. And now, let's even transport ourselves back into 2021 for any of you that were here. Okay. What if crypto had this double top just like it did before, but alt season was here in November instead of here in April? Would that have changed how you took profits? To maybe take it a step further, what if we had a head and shoulders? Pretend for a minute, if you will. I'll go to this chart. Let's pretend Bitcoin last cycle had a head and shoulders and alt season was here. Would you have held on long enough to have experienced those gains? And the problem I have with too many people is using this argument of timing. And to me, as far as my scientific research background, that's a correlation. But what do you hear good scientists say? Correlation isn't causation. What's the data? If you have a hypothesis, if you have a thesis, a theory, you need good data to back it up and show that there is statistical significance. And I do not think there is statistical significance to say, well, every 4 years, that's the cycle top, because, well, we had alt season here. And as far as the alt season flow of money, Ethereum is moving up against Bitcoin. All right. Ethereum, the trend is going up. We can even put on the MACD. Okay. The MACD trend was down. Okay. You guys can see that. We can draw our arrows here. Okay. That trend was down. Watch the moving averages. Okay. The MACD has finally moved into a positive direction. It is positive momentum. We can take a look even at the RSI. Let's find the RSI. Okay, the RSI, look at that nice downtrend. Now we have reversed trends. And so I look at this and I say, well, when we had alt season, okay, Ethereum Bitcoin was moving above its 0.25 to 0.5. Okay, again, Ethereum Bitcoin, it challenged to 0.25 twice. Here was alt season, okay? But you see us moving up there. Okay, once again, ETH Bitcoin is moving up in that direction. And once we get above 0.25, I think that's when things will get exciting. All right. And so, well, that hasn't broken yet. And, referencing the Ben Cohen comment earlier about easier monetary policy, well, we're about to get that. Heck, we have on, which indicator is this? I totally forgot. We have on the RSI. Look at this thing curling up. All right. So, easier monetary policies coming back. And that's good for crypto because remember, inflation is really good for crypto, especially Bitcoin. All right, we have a couple more comments. Dr. 420, gang in the house. Is that a raccoon or something? You're going to tell me. You'll have to excuse me. It's late, so my brain ain't working as well. But again, this live stream's titled Crypto Therapy, so we will have some grace for one another. McGruber says, as of late, he makes a strong case that we might be in the 2019 stage. I agree with that. Yes, I agree with that a lot. And in fact, look at 2019. Right. And again, the overall price structure doesn't have to be the same. Something I really like about 2019, by the way, I love channels where I can find them. Look at that nice parallel channel. If we just want to draw it out, and yes, we had COVID here, we had this nice descending channel. I love my descending channels. Broke out, retested it, and bang, as that guy says, Mike Breen in the NBA, bang, when Curry hits a three. So, I was like, damn, that was some good structure there. And again, 2019, that's when we had, you see that 100, by the way, the 100-week moving average. Oh, Wolfgang. I'll take a look at the mining stock Wolfrey in a little bit here. If we didn't have COVID, maybe Bitcoin just bottoms out around that 100-week moving average. And so, making that comparison of the easier monetary policy, I mean, the thing is, I showed this on the ETH Bitcoin chart. Let's get rid of the moving averages and make it cleaner. We see how things bottomed really, at least with ETH Bitcoin, I think it shows it better. I mean, Ethereum's the number one altcoin, right? Ethereum bottomed against Bitcoin literally at the end of QT, and then it went up. This cycle's different. It bottomed earlier, and I keep asking myself why. And I think even with all the quantitative tightening, money is still very risk on. And if you're like, really? Money's risk on? Well, prove it. Well, okay, I can prove it in multiple ways. I can prove it in the stock market. We're at all-time highs with QT ending, so where were we in 2019? Okay, at the time we were at all-time highs too. Went a little bit higher. Man, look at this stair climb. And then yoink. Things can run really hot into the end until we get, either a 1987, 2020 rug pull, or a classic recession type of environment. Let's take what else? IWM. I mean, the Russell 2K measures risk really well. So, I mean, look at what the Russell 2K was doing. Now, we didn't know COVID was going to happen here, but after easier monetary policy, and again, let's take COVID aside, once all that liquidity was injected, boom, we started to go up. So, and I mean, this shows you risk better than anything. Where was 2019 back here? 2018. So 2019 was right in here. Look at the Shiller PE. This was showing a downtrend. Like, there's some weakness. Again, think of that U.S. central bank balance sheet. Liquidity injected, boom. We have liquidity being injected here. How crazy is that? I mean, that's why I think this market can, making comparisons to the stock market, where the Shiller PE ratio is now, like, how far back does this go? I wish this went back further. The Shiller PE ratio was at 40 back here in the dot-com bubble. And look, it had another 400 days and 25% up. Like, can you guys handle that? Can people handle that if the market goes up another 400 days and 25%? I don't think people could believe it. 400 days, 25%. There's 400, give or take. 25%. Woo. 25%. I mean, that's getting kind of where this whole channel has been since the end of the GFC. This whole giant channel, that'd be like getting up there. And so again, I think this is my outlook, and it may be a little ambitious. I like to pride myself on being a little conservative. I think this AI bubble will end up being even bigger than the dot-com bubble. I could be wrong, but that's my base case. If we are in 2019, would be fair to say we have lower to go before we bottom? That is a great question. I'm thinking, McGruber. I don't want to answer that directly because I don't like making predictions. My whole thing, again, is I want a strategy that works regardless of what happens, because I don't know what's going to happen. None of us do. I want a strategy that's going to work regardless. So maybe we'll go lower. Maybe we don't. Do you have a strategy that works? Here's my strategy, and that is when I hit these levels, I have levels, whether it be by a Fibonacci or a moving average, that I cannot miss. That is part of my strategy. I say, this is an asset I like. If it's at that value, I will not miss it, no matter what. And it'll be part of my monthly budget, my paycheck to put some in if it gets to those levels. Now, sometimes those levels turn into uh, temporary support and they fall deeper. All right. Right now, we are not seeing support or structure here. Okay. That's the MACD. We got to see the MACD flip up. The RSI, you can nitpick any of these. That's the stochastic RSI. We have a bunch of these. How about, there is one I like, the reverse Cutler's RSI. That one's almost oversold. This one does pretty good at marking, here it did not mark the bottom, but it just says, when strength goes down a bit or up too high, it says, hey, this might be a local bottom or top. That's a pretty good indicator for that. There's some other ones. But anyways, when some of those classic indicators are showing good structure, good momentum, good positive divergence, and we are still at key support, then I'm like, okay, yeah. So for example, I'm not telling any of you guys to buy it. I cannot make any promises, guarantee on whatever the heck Chainlink is going to do. I think it's high time we get rid of that channel. But Chainlink is an altcoin I like. That's what I'll say. It's an altcoin I like. It is bearish as hell right now. It's under the 50, it's under the 100, the 20, it's under the 0.5, goddamn. It's under the 200. We have this doji and it's hanging on to the 382. I really like Chainlink as one of my top altcoins. Okay, there are some AI plays that I've talked about as well. Near Protocol, that was an AI type altcoin play. There's this altcoin, to me, it's so stupid. I think it's funny. Fetch, formerly Fetch.ai, they had that merger, and now they call it Artificial Superintelligence Alliance. I'm purely going off of, if AI, if we get an alt season and people are getting into AI altcoins, even though I do not believe in this, I've been in crypto since 2017 to know that if you have the right name or the right hype behind it, your asset can run even though it's completely stupid. Take Dogecoin, for example. This freaking meme, I'll never forget. You guys will hear me tell a story probably a dozen times. I'll never forget the only other guy in the town I was living in at the time who even knew about crypto. Me and him were working out. Yeah, Jim Crypto Bros. So Sigma. We were working out and talking about different altcoins like IOTA and this and that. And it was like the fall of 2017. And I remember him saying, like, you hear Doge has an altcoin? I'm like, you mean that meme? Like, wow, so cool, such wow, this and that. And we just laughed at it. And Doge at the time was, I mean, if I put it, $1,000 in, I'd probably be a millionaire right now. So, crypto is a very ironic, stupid space. I like the AI plays. I think I'm going to start doing some videos pretty soon on AI altcoins. Right? We've been talking about Bitcoin mining stocks lately. Sorry, I'm on a little bit of a random tangent. I'll try to finish it quick. The mining stocks, the Bitcoin mining stocks associated with anything AI like Iron and Cypher are doing well. And some of these mining stocks are converting not just to being Bitcoin mining stocks, but they're some of them are converting part of their resources to AI data centers. And so I'm like, whoa, okay, if they're getting more profits from that, I like that in a company that can diversify how it's gaining revenue. And we've talked about these in the past. Some of them have really good balance sheets, like crazy good. So, yeah, I'm big on mining stocks, especially because they move with Bitcoin. Anyways, sorry, I got way off track. I was talking about Chainlink, right? An altcoin I really like. Just based off my strategy, I have levels where I will buy it no matter what if it gets there. Maybe I bought some lately, but it might be bearish as hell. It might go down further. Chainlink might come back to $8. I would love if Chainlink came back to $8. That would be one of those things where no matter what, I'm buying in down here. I'm not telling any of you guys to buy it. This is just an altcoin I really like. Dr. 420, I made you wait way too long. Let's take a quick look at Wolf. And I put it on in the background. What am I doing? All right, here we go. Let's take a look at Wolf for you. The Bitcoin mining stock Wolf. Man, it looks weird off log scale. So, you know, I mean, here's another thing. We know that Bitcoin mining stocks move with Bitcoin. Some of these mining stocks are still showing very good strength, and like the cycle's not over yet. And ask yourself, why would mining stocks, Bitcoin mining stocks that top with Bitcoin in the past, why would they be doing well after? That hasn't happened before. To me, that says maybe there's still some strength out there, or, some of these mining stocks, you know, maybe Wolf is doing well regardless of Bitcoin, with some of that AI data center stuff. So, as far as Wolf, TA, it's got to get past the 76. No doubt it's in this ascending channel. Ascending channels, they always make me more nervous than the descending channel. Now, I will say I don't like when we fall into an ascending channel, and this one rose into it. So, maybe this thing just will continue. I would not doubt if it came back to this golden pocket. I would be patient and ready for that. The 618, 823. And, this one might be an altcoin, that tops out around the 888. If we draw the last two cycle tops, just a trend line there, we have a topping period or a topping area of around 50 some dollars. So, yeah, that would be an area where I might sell any Wolf I have no matter what. An AI altcoin video would be great. I agree, McGruber. Yeah, and I know what you meant, by the way. You don't have to, clarify anything in your comment. I need to do some research, though, because I don't want to just half-ass it for you guys. I want to, look at what are the best AI altcoins, or, maybe what are a top 5 out of the top altcoins. Sometimes people come in these live streams and they'll be like, hey, look at this altcoin has a $10,000 market cap. I hate even putting those out there. I think, was it Toncoin? No, Tau. BitSensor Tau, I believe that's an AI altcoin. Near Protocol, they have some AI stuff. Of course, the Artificial Super Intelligence Alliance, that's another AI one. But I'm curious, what are altcoins that actually have like a really good AI thing? I don't know why I haven't done this, but I should just ask Chat GPT. Out of all the top 100 altcoins, which one have ties to artificial intelligence? I think, again, every cycle's different. What went up last cycle? Meme coins, stuff like Doge. Doge was really the darling altcoin last cycle, 2 cycles ago. Let me get some water. 2 cycles ago, it was XRP. So we had XRP in 2017. We had Doge last cycle. I'm not big on Doge long term. I'm sorry. I know there's Doge fans out there who might even think it's safe. I don't feel as good about Doge. Tron is one that really worries me. I bought Tron in 2017. I made great money from Tron. I do not, the more and more I look into it, I do not like the more information that comes out about Justin Sun, the guy who's head of it. Same with Binance. I know Binance does well. To me, they're actually way more solid than Tron ever will be. Tron is one of those, I would put it as a contender for an FTX type situation. Like if we had another FTX unwind sell off, this is enemy number 1 right here that I'd watch out for. But again, Tron, if you look at their chart, I love Tron's chart technically. It's almost too good. I mean, you want to talk about suspect. Any of you guys ever seen The Dark Knight? The movie with the best Joker ever, when they're talking about that company, how their books look too perfect. Tell me this chart does not look absolutely perfect. Look at this high to low. Look at the way we hit these fibs. Look at how it just like grinds straight up. Like, you take a look at some of the best stocks in the world and it doesn't look like that. And we have a top 10 altcoin doing this. So yeah, I just get a little bit, I don't know. I do not trust Tron at all, but hey, if you make money from it, does it really matter? Again, you can talk smack about any of these cryptos, but at the end of the day, we're here to make money. And if you're like, you know what, this thing's got a large community and all this and that behind it, I will not fault you for making money off Tron or an oil company or whatever. I'd rather the money go into your guys' hands than some of these other hedge fund people out there is just going to do horrible things with it. But anyways, as far as this cycle is concerned, I think Solana could be maybe the play, maybe. But I wonder. XRP, it knocked people's socks off 2017. 2021, it was Doge. What will it be this cycle? I don't know. Maybe I'll run a poll, but I think my number one suspect is right here. I mean, it's a large cap. It's the new one on the block. Flow still. Did I do Doge? No. We were just talking about Doge. I'll do Doge for you. Let's get into Doge. We're just talking about it. Let's take a look at the chart. So Doge, man. So remember what I said before. Some of you guys heard me say I do not like in ascending channel out of a price that falls. And so, just taking a look at the measure of the channel right there. Yeah, I mean, this is very crappy TA, so don't take this to the bank. That would show that we might get down to these levels, and there's some structure there in the past. I do wonder, like if I drew a fib low to high, would that be a 618 pullback? Ooh, that'd be an 888 pullback right now. Man, yeah, that's nasty. That is bearish on multiple levels. I know I have a bunch of crap going on here. So let's clean it up a little bit. So yeah, we had that ascending channel we're falling out of. Yeah, I could see it bottoming around 12 cents. Let me ask you this, Flow still, if you like Doge, why would you not pick some up here? We are at the high to low 382. Now, as far as this is bearish, yes, this is bearish. And total 3 in general, this goes for all the altcoins, by the way. And I know altcoins can do things separate from each other. But total 3, I mean, it likes the bottom around this 100-week moving average, and we're at the 76. This might be a bottom area. This might be. Like, I would say this is actually a strong contender for a fake-out bottom. People are expecting this or lower. I think this is contender number 1 for a bottom. And I just take things as they come. So, you got to take it by levels. And if this is the level we're given, I'm going to wait for confirmation, whether MACD, RSI, a bunch of them together. We don't have confirmation yet, but this might be a level. And if it is, if this does turn into the macro level, I mean, this is an area for Doge. I mean, did you believe when Doge was up here at 42 cents, did you believe we would see 14-cent Doge this soon into the future? This is a year later. Yeah, a year later. So here we are. If you like Doge, why not buy some right now? Now the structure, we don't have the structure yet. We don't have the positive momentum or divergence yet. You see this, we have lower high. We're about to make a lower low with the MACD. So that says, again, that this trend is down. All right, so we have to look for these trends to end going down and to see some sort of a rebound going up. But if you like any of these altcoins, maybe dollar cost average or look for areas of dollar cost average. And there's no guarantee with any of them. Again, going back to this, we're all making a gamble here. And the way I look at altcoins, I judge them by different levels of risk and potential. And so, you might look at, per se, a Cardano. I think Cardano is very low risk, and I also think it is very low potential for very high returns. Same with a Litecoin, low risk, low potential. I like low risk, high potential. That's why I like things like Chainlink. I think, Solana has like medium risk, high potential, or I would say actually medium risk, medium potential. Um, I think XRP is very low risk and low to medium potential. So that's what goes through my mind. Doge, however, I think has medium-ish to higher risk and medium potential. So I don't love that exchange. This is just kind of what goes through my head, as far as a meme coin play. There's Bonk, there's Pepe. I don't like meme coins in general. But then again, I was just talking about AI coins. Hey, if AI is the play, I was just telling you guys how much I'm not a fan of FET, but I have some FET. I'm not telling you to buy FET. I'm not a fan of it. But I think if we get an alt season with this AI bubble, that I'd say, hey, this thing has it's medium higher risk, but it has very high potential. So that's how I judge that one. What's your take on SWE? McGruber asks. I do like that altcoin. It was higher. It's come down a little bit as far as the rankings because this one is like number 12. Need to get some water. I don't know about you guys, but anytime September hits, my throat starts to get a little bit dry. All right. So we're seeing a little bit of, well, we have one bit of positivity on the MACD, and that's that we're moving from dark red to light red. We don't have a positive MACD cross. We also don't have the MACD moving averages in positive territory. It is in negative territory. You can see that when we cross into positive territory, I mean, look at that. That's insane. I can show you that. This is an older altcoin, not telling anyone to buy it, but prime example of the MACD. Again, just look at the moving average. Okay, this is just a random low cap altcoin in the 500s. Look at when it started to move into the positive range on the zero side. Okay, you could have bought it right there at a seventh of a penny, and this thing went up to 33 some cents. Crazy. I mean, crazy returns. So again, I'm just showing you that's why the MACD matters. But going back to SWE, we have the MACD in negative territory. We have a negative trend overall. And I'm just talking, purely based off what it did. SWE from that low to the high, it ran over 600%. Now I do have this fib on log scale. I believe it hit the 2618 if we take it off log. Yeah, it perfectly hit the 2618. So that was a great time to take profits. And, we see here we had a giant wedge formation, and those can always break up or down. That's something, that you could consider. People, I have seen this sort of analysis where they say, measure the distance between the wide points of the wedge. And I'd say we've moved a similar-ish distance. Again, I'm not a fan of this type of TA. I mean, but damn, that's that's pretty perfect. I would just say, I'm not saying that is a bottom, but this could be a potential area for a bottom. Maybe we're finishing the downtrend. Maybe we're coming back up. We have SWE hitting a fib here. But again, I think SWE is going to go the way Total 3 goes, the way the markets go. If the Fed cuts rates, we're risk on, baby. All right. And the Russell's close to breaking out. We are already this close to all-time highs. Maybe SWE can hold on to this 100, not the 100 week moving average, the 786. I'm curious where the 200 will be. The 200 has not spawned in yet, but I would make a bet that we might be near the 200. I wonder what the Mayer multiple band show, if they're going to show anything. All right. Maybe that one doesn't even want to work for a chart like this. All right. Never mind. That one works for Bitcoin. So, there's potential. Do we have any sort of positive divergence? Or, let's take a look at the ultimate RSI. The ultimate RSI does a good job uh, cutting through the crap. I mean, we've never been this oversold on SWE since down here. So something to consider. And as we zoom out here, I mean, I can't help but kind of see this. I guess I could have drawn a channel. Maybe? I don't know. What do you guys think? Is this enough to look like I look for channels wherever I can find them. Um, is this enough to say, hey, yeah, this is a giant ascending channel. We're at the lower end of this channel. We did that measured move. We're at a fib. We have the MACD. We're oversold. You know, all I'll say about this is if the crypto markets do hold up, and if this is a local bottom, hey, why not? So yeah, if you like SWE, maybe it's worth an educated gamble. Sorry to bring it back. Don't ever apologize here. It looks like Doge is breaking out of a falling wedge. Thoughts? Well, let's take a look at this falling wedge. Was this the chart I was using? Um, yeah. I mean, I kind of see it. Let me take a look at a couple different. Let's take this off. So, falling wedge. Yeah, I mean, there's places where I could say, okay, maybe. Um, I mean, we had a lot of series of higher lows, even since sort of back here. Doge was riding up these. I can draw it better than that. Doge was riding up the trend line pretty good, all right? And we just, I mean, even here, we can draw trend lines like there's no tomorrow. But yeah, this was a giant wedge pattern and it broke to the downside. Again, I don't put too much weight into doing technical analysis by shapes, head and shoulders, this and that. I've seen head and shoulders turn into accumulation. So, I take it with a grain of salt. I want to see more than one piece of data. Um, some guys out there, oh no, there's a head and shoulders, sell everything. Maybe that's what plays out, but it doesn't always have to. I will say, this is just my experience. I don't know about you guys, but double tops and double bottoms, to me, play out more often than head and shoulders or inverse head and shoulders. Microsoft, we have this nice double top, and boom, it's like that McDonald's symbol, or double bottoms, or you might find double bottoms on various cryptos, and then all of a sudden they rocket up. Yeah, I can't find any here. I wonder if Ethereum had any sort of a double bottom or double top. Not seeing anything there, but anyways, yeah, that's just something I've come across. On a higher time frame is what I'm looking at. Oh, you're talking about Doge. Let's go back to Doge. So higher time frame. Let's see. Daily. Let me know the time frame. And you're talking about breaking out of a falling wedge. Oh boy, how high of a time frame. You must be a trader. um, yeah, breaking out of a falling wedge. Okay, I think I kind of see it. I mean, I can draw a trend line here. I think I kind of see what you're talking about. If you're like, hey, there's these lower highs, maybe that's what you're talking about. 4 hour. All right, let's go here to 4 hour. Oh boy. Um, you know, looks like breaking out of a falling wedge. Yeah, I I gotta say, maybe it's late. I don't quite see what you're looking for, but that's okay. You know, hey, maybe potential for a double bottom here. We do have lower highs here. This does look like it's rounding out. and it looks like it wants to hold on to this 382. I mean, I'm just trying to keep it simple for you. So yeah. Anyways, let's move on from Doge. We had 12 people in the chat. Nice. Hope you guys are doing well. Again, I'm going to start doing, I like how we have people here. I'm going to start doing more nighttime videos because my schedule's changing a little bit after, uh, well, next New Year. So I might do some more nighttime little chat sessions. I would enjoy them. And maybe we'll have a drink together or something too. But yeah, I'm going to call these nighttime crypto therapy because I think we need it, especially with the fear in the market. And in my line of work, I help people do a lot of reframing. When they have the negative thoughts swirling in their heads. One of the things we call these are automatic negative thoughts. You guys can look them up. People even describe them as ants, A-N-T-S, and to squish those ants. So when you get these automatic negative thoughts that you know aren't true, how do you challenge it? How do you reframe it? So when there's fear in the market, I wonder, how can I challenge it? How can I reframe it? Because I feel that fear with you guys. And so part of my strategy, to challenge and reframe that is like, whoa, 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 wait a second, Mr. Market Psychologist guy. You said the 100-week is pretty darn good value. Why wouldn't you be continuing the dollar cost averaging? But I get thoughts just like you guys, like, oh God, it's back down here. Should I keep pouring money in? But and then I think about it, I'm like, what am I saying to myself? Like just a month ago, I made some crazy good profits from some Bitcoin mining stocks. Am I that greedy? And so, you got to take the bad with the good and remember the bad are opportunities so you can make money later. Dr. 420, appreciate you, buddy. As always, love the analysis. And also have a drink in my hand. What are you drinking? Cheers to you. You're going to laugh at me, but after work today, I have a bottle of what's that? Screwball peanut butter whiskey, and I've only mixed it with Chambord, which is like a jelly. It's a PB&J shot, and I'm like, I'm just gonna put a little Screwball peanut butter whiskey on an ice cube. I did an ounce, and it was just like a nice dessert sipper. I I usually make old fashions or something. I actually took a few months off of drinking recently. I just like to do that to prove to myself I can. Um, and felt great, but just trying to, maybe have a glass of wine here or there or whatever. So, Flow still, thanks for the feedback. You're welcome. Appreciate you. Bobby Bone 69, great name. I'm newer to the crypto market. I bought Bitcoin in 2021. Right, great. And held to now, and I'm taking some profits. I have never traded any meme coins or tried to short term trade Bitcoin. Yeah, I mean, play to your risk levels. I've shown this image before. It's, I wonder what you could Google search. It's, if you Google image search short versus long term investor pros and cons, do that for me, please. Google image search, talking to Bobby Bones here, short versus long term investor pros and cons. You will see kind of a table chart of the benefits and the drawbacks. And the reason I bring that up is, being the emotional beings that we are and how that works against us, I know what my weaknesses are. Okay. My weaknesses are such that I would not be a good swing trader, right? Even though I have the technical skills, I know my emotions would get in the way and I'd lose money. And I know that because I've tried it. So when I've had success, it's when I use my strengths. Part of my work, I have a lot of patience that I get to practice doing in my job. Patience for people who keep messing up and making mistakes, and having grace and patience and saying, you know what? That's investing. I have to have grace for myself. I am going to make mistakes. I'm not going to buy the absolute bottom every time. And so, being a long term value minded investor, I have a strategy that's very patient. And again, if you take $1,000 and you multiply it a 2x every year for a decade, you have $1 million. So year one, 1,000 to 2,000. Year two, 2,000 to 4,000. You keep doing that, 4 to 8, 8 to 16. By the end of 10 years, you have over $1 million. So I've asked myself, can I get a 2x each year or even something close to that? And I'm fine with a 15-year plan. And by the way, starting with more than 1,000. But I think, just being patient and knowing there's always an opportunity somewhere, that's okay. But Bobby Bones, I ask you, what type of person are you? What are your strengths? What are your weaknesses? Maybe your strength, personality wise, you could be a trader. Credit to you. You can do something I can't. I know that. And so that's why I look for longer term plays. And I'm talking about the macro and the bigger picture. All right. We only have one future. The 333, 666, 999 moving averages are underrated for buying opportunities, especially on the daily. Bitcoin bounced off the 666 MA. All right, let's take a look at this. 333, 666, 999. Can I change those? I think I have to go to a different indicator for moving averages. Um, there's another moving average. Is that an actual indicator that you're using, by the way? Indicator. Do, do, do. It's not letting me click and load up the other ones. Sometimes it does this. I don't know. TradingView's been glitchy for you guys time to time, but sometimes I'll click for something and be like, yeah, it won't even be like bringing up how to search for a new one. So I will look into that, but that is very interesting. I've never heard that the we only have one future said the 333, 666, and 999 daily moving averages are your opportunities. So I'll have to try that out once this is working again, which it isn't. Bobby Bones, I am a business owner in the trades. Nice. What trade? Electrician, plumber, carpentry. Out of high school, I started out in one of the trades. I did not like it, but I was doing residential grunt work and literally doing one or two things in my. I was the apprentice making, 12 an hour, and the journeyman was just trying to break my balls the whole time and find any reason he could to scream at me. HVAC, there you go. Hey, you'll always have work with HVAC. But yeah, I was like, all right, I can't do this. And I have some friends who were in industrial, like commercial, industrial, electrical and stuff. I got in the residential, wasn't for me. I was like, all right, maybe I'll give college a shot, and did some things, and ended up doing psychology stuff, getting my master's in that. So, anyways, I manage employees, so I can relate to having patience with employees and people. All right, so that's a strength of yours. I am interested in maybe some weekly trades, like buying a dip and hold short term. All right, short term. So, let's just take a look at Bitcoin, for example. And let me just go back to this. All right. Yes. All right. All I'm going to say is, or question you is, what has been the strategy you've written down? Like open up a Google sheet or whatever, make some bullet points, make your strategy through those bullet points so you have something to follow regardless of this. And maybe this is part of your strategy. Say, when we are in fear, neutrality, also moving averages, fibs. You see how I draw the moving averages and the Fibonacci retracement. But you're looking at some weekly trades like buying a dip, all right, and holding in the short term. And what would be your short term would be my question. Is that months, weeks, a year? Because remember, after a year, you get a big benefit with capital gains tax. So I'd say, we have the indicators like the moving averages, the stochastic, the MACD, and you can see when things are oversold. All right. Now, when we are recovering, we start to get back up into these, into the shaded areas. All right. So It all depends what your strategy is, what sort of technicals or indicators you're looking to see, some of the positive momentum and structure under the hood. I really like the MACD a lot. Um, I would, whatever strategy you create, let's say you make a 5 bullet point investing strategy. Like, if this, I will buy, but I also need these other things as well. I mean, heck, you could be like, hey, I'm just going to buy every monthly. Let's go to this. I'm just going to buy every monthly. Let me reload this so it'll show up. I'm just going to buy signals. All right. It'll come here in a second. I was going to go to the monthly. I was going to take off moving averages. We're just adding on a buy signal here and say, you know what? I'm just going to buy the monthly buy signals. I'll buy here. Yeah, I bought Bitcoin 40K, but then I bought Bitcoin 18K, 30K, 64K, 90K, right? And that would have sucked, but obviously, maybe part of your strategy is to say, if from the bottom we have already ran up 300% inside of X amount of time, I might be more cautious about that. I don't know. You could have a buy signal to confirm. So, that's one way to look at it. Some people like the moving averages, or I see this with stocks all the time. People will look at a very good stock like, let's go to Microsoft here. I mean, Microsoft, my God, anytime it's at some of these weekly moving averages, it's like, if you like it, you have to buy it for the long term. The 100, the 200, any of those. Some people say, hey, even if it's at the 20, all right, it's fallen under the 20. All right, it's at the 50. Great. So I don't know. But what the last thing I was going to say is back test your plan. If you have a strategy, lay it out and then go into the past and be like, okay, when would this work? When wouldn't it work? And remember, Bitcoin is a newer asset and it is a speculative tech asset, which means it is risky. So do be careful. And also do know we are very elevated right now. So risk is higher in historical terms. I understand that there are so many types of trading, such as scalping calls, but yep. With or without leverage and so much, yes. Leverage, I stay away from that. It's overwhelming. I'm just barely breaking in this trading world. So a buddy of mine from another country, he does leverage, and man, it worked out for him great until recently. He got up to like 200K and lost like damn near $180,000 during that largest crypto liquidation. I kid you not, which was like back here somewhere. Let's go to the daily. Here. Lost it all there because the markets flushed so quick, his stop loss did not trigger. And so when you have leverage, it'll get you good gains in the positive direction. You need a stop loss. I do not advocate for doing any leverage on Binance. People on Binance got really screwed in that situation. So, I'm not a fan of leverage, but be careful. You are increasing your risk. When you make money on leverage, it's like crack. And there's a lot of people on leverage right now. And options are so easy. When you hear people saying that, you're in a bubble. So, I'm not touching that. Let's see. But yeah, play to your strengths. That's just going to be my not technical advice. What are your strengths? What are your weaknesses? Play to your strengths. Stay away from playing to your weaknesses. If greed can get the best of you, or casino, I would be careful of trading, scalping, leverage, stuff like that. Thoughts on alts changing from the Bitcoin time frame if November, December, January of 2024. I already like where this question's going. Of 2024, okay, back here. January 24. Where is it? Right here, okay. Early 25. Bottom might be coming soon or here already. So flow still. Alts changing from the Bitcoin time frame. November, December, January. Well, let's go to actually, instead of total 3, let's go to total 2. That's the whole altcoin market. It's total market cap outside of Bitcoin. All right, so we had later last year, okay, if November, December, January 24, or early 25, bottom might be coming soon or here already. Well, here we're on the daily. Here we're on the, I mean, this looks a lot like Total 3 as well. Let me get some more water. I mean, yeah, last time we bottomed, we were at the 100-week moving average both these times. Um, let's look at some indicators underneath the hood. The MACD, yeah, I mean, man, it sucks seeing it cross in the negative territory, but then we got in the positive territory, literally at the same time, too. Here we crossed positive and didn't get into the positive territory until later. We needed to go through kind of this fake out first. Um, so, yeah, looking underneath the hood, we don't have confirmation yet. Okay, we need to see some of this. Remember what I talked about with the MACD? Right now, the trend is down. Okay, now, again, we go by levels. If the 100-week moving average can hold up while momentum comes back, while we can flip positive and maintain, say, above the zero line, positive momentum, great. Quantitative easing, the Fed, if they're going to QE and we're going to see this thing rocket up higher, great. We don't have confirmation yet. Could this be a bottom? Bottom could. It might not be. We might go down further. But we don't have confirmation yet. I do like that we're holding support here. And also, I don't know about you guys, but all the 2021 comparisons, I mean, maybe it'll play out. Maybe it will. Maybe it won't. But people making all the comparisons, 2021, they say hit the 100, hit the 50, boom, we died. Okay. Hit the 100, we're going to hit the 50, and then boom, we die. On one hand, I'm like, you know what? Fine. I'll buy Bitcoin here. I don't care. And then on the other hand, I'm like, that's what everyone's saying. And so what if we don't? Like, if that's what everyone's expecting when we have more rate cuts and QE coming, like, I think crypto's going to do something different than what a lot of the herd is expecting. My personal opinion. Let's see. Bobby Bones, what's your opinion of this cycle so far? If we hit 125, 26K, but no top indicators went off, do you feel like we will hit these all-time highs before year end, or is 2026 going to bring the all-time high? Now, I've long talked about with these cycles, and maybe you saw it in the stock video I did earlier, the second year of a presidential cycle ends up being the worst, okay? However, we have things that are a little bit different right now. We are in this bubble. And so I think these bubbles that come along are very rare. And so we have to take in, what is the market right now? We are in a bubble, yes. And we have quantitative easing coming back soon. So that's very good for risk assets. We talked about that before. QE coming back. Where's Ethereum Bitcoin chart? Here we are. QE came back right here. Again, we can overlay that. And so for riskier assets, I mean, you see that right there. This is the federal or the U.S. central bank balance sheet when we're expanding, okay, when we're printing money. That's good. We're already front running that. And so I do think 2026 will be positive. I think it might be, if I had to guess, I hate predicting. If I had to guess, with all the information that I have, I am looking for a potential top sometime around April. And you might ask, well, why is that? Some of you guys already know this answer. I've been talking about the log regression a lot. Okay, let's reset this. Let me get some water again. So, again, this is the returns from each halving. Okay, look at the cycle peaks. They're not always going to be in perfect alignment after the halving. People say, well, Bitcoin tops Q4 post halving here. Well, it did twice, but jury's out on it being a third time here. Did not happen in this first cycle, the blue line, and we had alt season earlier Then it was in quarter two of the post halving year. So, there's that. We have Bitcoin in this log regression. And again, X axis stretches time. And, I think this shows it best. I'm just going bottom to top. That's where the red lines are, 750 days. We've done this in a number of videos recently. Bottom to top, 850 days. All right. What are we seeing here? We are seeing stretch horizontally on the x axis, which is time. That's what log regression tries to show us. 750, 850, 1050. So we added 100, we added 200. Let's add 300. So instead of 1050, so we want 750, 850, 1050. Let's go to 1350. Where would that put us? August. Okay. 1250. Where would that put us? April. Where would 1450 put us? November. Where would 1150 put us? January. So I think 2026, if I had to have a guess, my gut tells me April. We had that last alt season post QE in April of 21. I'm wondering if we're going to get like a 5-year cycle top from the last alt season. Okay, remember, this was not alt season. This was. We can go to Bitcoin dominance. We can see, again, this is what matters right here. If we're doing any educated gambles on altcoins, you're waiting for alt season. All right. Or you're trying to buy a good altcoin that'll move positive regardless of what's going on, or be a safer buy. Some people, maybe that's XRP or SWI or whatever. But we're looking at this flow of money here. That's always the key. When Bitcoin dominance tanks, that's alt season. That's when things really take off. I saw the Russell 2K out of the corner of my eye. The Russell 2K just gave expansion signal for altcoins. 2026 will be bullish. Travis Kelly 7082, you said it perfectly. And we talked about the Russell 2K earlier as well. I am in 100% agreement with you. Again, look at where the Russell 2K is. This is great at tracking, is the market risk on? This says yes. What are some of those riskier stonks? Remember for the Wall Street bet days? What's GameStop doing? It's kind of flat, not really doing anything right now. Some of these tend to do well. Or what's that? ARK, or is it ARK K? Yeah, this is the what's her name? Kathy Wood ETF. I mean, their ETF, Kathy Wood, they like to invest in more riskier assets, and if this thing's bullish, I think it's risk on. So yes, I agree with you, Travis. Euphoria not happening. It's strange. Flow still, you are correct. We have not had euphoria happening. But again, let me point you back to this. We are only here. We are not here yet. And again, when did euphoria happen last cycle? Last cycle, euphoria happened here after quantitative easing, after money printing. It was much easier money. So I don't think it is time yet for euphoria. There is a good, this is one of the tabs I'm keeping no matter what. Bull market peak indicators. Right now, none of them are going off. This is on coinglass.com. But remember another thing, someone was bringing up, calls and puts in this and that. With Wall Street and all these ETFs being in the game this cycle, IBIT, things like that, I think it is very important to look at where all the leverage is at. And, let's take it by levels. We got 108K, we have 96K. We zoom out, I'm sure there's more levels here. Let's go to the 2 month from the 1 month. There we go. This is a very strong level right there, 116K, and a little level right there, of course, at 125K, of course. But when I see this, I'm like, okay, where are all these shorts piling in, like around 94K and 116K. And I mean, I didn't even have to know that. We could have just taken a look at, our moving averages here as well. Like we could see this where the head and shoulders is where the Fibonacci would play out. I believe if we do that one, yeah, it's right at the golden pocket. I wonder if we did it down here. I mean, hey, take a look at that. It's right at the 236 pullback area too. So yes, you get above the 236, you get up here, you're bullish. I mean, no two ways about it. We have the bull market support band right here. So yeah, I think good technical analysis. It also lines up with where people are stacking the leverage as well. So euphoria is not going to happen yet. We need to have QE turn back on. And I think once people have the green light, QE, we're already near all time highs, and risk assets given the green light, it's on. And I mean, I think about this even from the political perspective. Again, I'm not saying I'm pro or against anyone. Republicans know midterms are already going to be tough this next year. They need a positive market is one of their points. So they're going to try to make the markets very positive. They would hate if 2026, our second year presidential cycle is typically the worst. They would hate for that to happen. And so I think they're going to do everything they can to make sure the economy is positive. It's also one of the reasons, Trump, even though he's Republican, he authorized the printing of all that trillions out of thin air, which isn't really fiscal conservative of him. And so I think, if you just dumb it down as simple as it is, he knows no one gets reelected in a down economy. So you're going to do everything you can to prop the economy up. Again, I'm not saying it's right or wrong. People have different philosophies on the economy. If we have 38 trillion in debt, you can try to make the debt cheaper in order for it to mean less. But again, inflationary monetary policy, that is very macro positive for crypto. So, ask yourself, why would you buy Bitcoin? Here, I think it's really good value. Why would I buy it? Because our government is very inflationary. They love to print money. And so you get Bitcoin at good value here. Heck yeah. Let's see. I have a couple comments. Travis Kelly, I'm hearing in the pipeline China and Japan will be joining in. We'll have to keep a watch out to see. Next comment on Euphoria, 1 sec. And then he said, okay, as we cut rate good, when we start to print or actually trigger euphoria, it takes about 60 to 100 days for the big boom. Go look at past bull markets and it shows each time. So yeah, he said 60 when we start to print 60 to 100 days later. Yes, I would agree. There is a delay. And so you are saying there's a 2 to 3 month delay. I could see that. And that would line up with kind of that April-ish area. That I think if there was a euphoric top type alt season, that would not surprise me if it was in an April. I've seen in my history of, doing investing and stuff like that can be a good time of year. I mean, I know people talk about Christmas rallies and all this and that. I've seen the spring be really good, like since I've been around. So just saying. Bobby says, I'd love to see you teach more about these charts. Is this app called TradingView? I haven't downloaded it yet. Yes, it is called TradingView. TradingView.com. It's free, even though they were having some recent Black Friday deals. Now, when it's free, you can use 2 indicators at the same time. That's why you see me close one, open one, and plus it just gets too messy. If you have a Google account or something, it's totally free. But yeah, tradingview.com. And then you just look for different indicators. So, I talk about the different indicators I use. Again, I'm not trying to, act like I'm smarter than anyone here. The way I try to share when I'm teaching, or not when I'm teaching, but just what I use is to try to drive a conversation. All right. And it's okay to agree with me. It's okay to disagree with me. But I want you to have data to back it up if you do disagree and drive a conversation. And you can say, hey, I have a better indicator than what I think you're using. Or have you tried looking at it through this lens? I value the different perspectives because again, we're different types of investors, all of us, and I think we need indicators that match our perspective and what type of investor we are. So yeah, let's see. Weenie 1240 says, "Bro, there is no alt season. Take it easy." I'm going to teach you, Weenie, about something called growth mindset. Okay. Of course, Weenie comes in here. He's got fear, extreme fear flowing through his veins. We just bottomed out in fear. Growth mindset. There is no alt season yet. And going back to the money flow chart, we are right here, Weenie. So we need to get the money printer on, continue rate cuts, and maybe we will get an alt season. Should good inflationary monetary policy, I don't know why I use the word good, but inflationary monetary policy come back in, that will be good for risk assets. And as Travis Kelly said earlier, bro, take a look at the Russell 2K. You want to see that things are risk on. Hey, we're already near or at all-time highs in the Russell 2K, and it's about to be easier for risky tech assets. Bro, take a look. So, Weenie, I would just challenge you on your perspective. If you believe there's no alt season, share your reason why. We can discuss it. Travis Kelly, this is the first time in history that all nations are sinking with debt. Oh, well, I mean, I think, we're still dealing with the repercussions from COVID. COVID, all the unemployment, while we printed, I mean, think of this, like all that money printed out of thin air, we're going to get that bullwhip effect, where people produce too much and it just goes up and down all around. I think we're still dealing with, we still need to pay the bill that is COVID and all this money, liquidity that was injected. I don't believe this is done playing out yet. I mean, QT's ending, but are we in a better spot now than we were in 2019? If you're in AI, you might say, well, yeah, but there's a lot of people out there, white collar people losing their jobs. Unemployment's going up. However, I mean, I've seen more people talking about this. Unemployment's a good precursor for recessions, yes. But you take a look at the numbers, college students, people with 4-year degrees who don't have jobs, the data's not good. However, there's also data and narratives growing that, AI is going to keep these companies in profit even while unemployment rises. And so, that's tough. I think we might be getting into some unique times where markets can do well despite or in spite of unemployment. But again, where is this unemployment coming from? Amazon, they're going more automation wise or automative wise. They're going to make money. A lot of people are going to be losing jobs from there. So interesting times are ahead. Let's see. This is the first time in history that all nations are okay. Debt, yeah. This is the truth why everyone wants Bitcoin. Brentwood's 2.0 happening. Yeah. Travis, I hear what you're saying, and yes, Bitcoin is a very strong case against inflation. And I mean, heck, gold. Let's go to gold because we're talking about inflation right now. And then let's overlay the S&P. Ooh, go away. There we go. And then we can go back to, let's go back to the 70s when inflation really spiked. Okay. I mean, look at gold running up before the market tanked. Okay, this was the late 70s. Gold ran up kind of with the market. We can overlay inflation as well. But yeah, we had a big inflation spike here with gold. And then later, yeah, the market was going up, but you know, it wasn't a great time for people. You talk to people back from the 70s. My parents talk about this. They're like, we're glad we bought a house, before 1980 because the same house all of a sudden was like twice as expensive at that time. So yeah, uh, that's that's a good reason for Bitcoin or for gold. But when people are in line to buy gold, I'm just going to say a little bit hesitant there. I will not chase gold at the top. Happening. Yeah, I know what you meant. No worry. I believe within 3 years tops. Worse spot than 2019, Bobby Bone says. Worse spot than 2019. Can you expound, please, Bobby? I'm curious what you mean by worse spot than 2019. What was your last comment? Um, yeah, you were asking about Trading View. Travis Kelly, alt season? Oh, it's happening. Men and women lie, charts don't lie. We will get alt season. Heck yeah, Travis, I appreciate you being here. And not just because you're giving me an echo chamber of some confirmation bias. I don't want to just talk with people who agree with me. But again, I think just going back to my overall thesis, hypothesis, I don't think you can only say that timing is a reason why there's no alt season. Well, it's 4 years again and no alt season when it was 4 years on the dot. Therefore, it's over. There's no alt season. Okay, well, literally go back to the last cycle 4 years ago. There was no alt season here in November of 21. There was an alt season in April, right? If we go to the halving charts, there was no alt season. We're looking at the pink. There was no alt season here. It was here, okay, which did not fit within the 4 year cycle. And so alt season last time came earlier. And you can see it right here, Bitcoin dominance coming down April to May. And again, I think the nature of log regression, and again, you don't have to like the rainbow chart, but I think, I don't know any one person who can argue that Bitcoin is not in a log regression. And what is the nature of a logarithmic regression? It is as the x-axis, as you travel further along the x-axis, that you will stretch horizontally more. And that's what we're going to see. We're going to see stretching between the tops. I believe the log regression has been telling us the truth the whole time. And time will tell if I'm wrong. If I'm wrong, I'm not going to make as much money as I hoped I would have, and that'll suck. So let's see. Gold repricing inbound. I mean, in 2019, business was booming for me, HVAC wise. Well, yeah, especially with the housing. I mean, my God, we are in a different market today for housing. That's for sure. HVAC and new housing builds. Yeah, 2019 to 2023, roughly, I would imagine business was exploding. After COVID up to now, it's been a slow grind downward. 2015, 2019 was business euphoria for me personally. I own HVAC businesses. Again, Bobby, I don't know everything about your line of work, but when I hear HVAC business, what's that tied to? Housing. We had that big, we had the perfect conditions for housing. We had the lowest rates ever. Like if you got a house after rates were climbing up, I mean, it's just been tougher. Some of us were lucky to get a mortgage rate 4% or under. I mean, look at this. Rates were damn near zero. But then it climbed. And, right now the housing rates are like, what, 6 to 7%? So, and they cost another 100K plus more. So, yeah, it was easier time to buy housing there. But yeah, that is one sector of the economy. There's a good channel I watch their videos once in a while. I'm going to recommend them. I'm small fry. They are called EPB Research, I believe. And it's a good channel because I like the way this guy talks about different phases of the economy. There's the leading economy, the cyclical economy. There's different phases, and so people wonder, like, well, how come the stocks and the actual economy, the workforce, how come this isn't quite attached? That's a channel that I think outlines it maybe better than anyone I've seen as far as how the data kind of flows, and where we can look for leading indicators, lagging indicators. So yes, Bobby, I agree with you. And is housing? I will say this about housing. At least where I live, there is no shortage of demand. But as far as the supply is not going up as quick as it could. And so, that's another factor. I think people also aren't moving as much right now because, why move from a house when you got 3% mortgage rate, to double your rate and add another 100K to the overall amount. So, yeah, let's see. But, all that aside, best of luck to you. I think you're always going to have work. I have neighbors, HVACs have random issues all the time. A few reasons, Travis says, a few reasons I feel we haven't had a real alt season. We got a spike on the chart. Going back to Bitcoin, I wonder if we're thinking the same thing. But as far as, let's go to the former elephant that was in the room. Okay, we had that bearish divergence forever, but we were the most overbought here. And you can see this move. We had Bitcoin ETFs being approved here, a little sell off and boom. But the best part of this cycle was right here. It was this 5 months from, what's that? I got to get rid of this. September of 23 to March of 24. Okay, this is where we were the most overbought. And so that was, yes, we had a euphoric time back later last year, but I will say, like, right here, this time was really dang good. And we were very overbought there. So, yeah, I think, something to consider. This cycle compared to last, look how strong Bitcoin is doing now compared to last cycle, before the peak. Bitcoin wasn't as adopted into institutions, into Wall Street. Wall Street's a big part of it, and we see that, with leverage, with trading and all that. And we see more volatility here. Okay, it's not holding up as strong. Now we have big money. BlackRock, even Vanguard's got into Bitcoin, and it's up here. So if we are in similar monetary policy situations right here as we were right around here, we're ahead of schedule. We're ahead of schedule, and I think people aren't ready for how bullish it can be. Being someone who was here in 2017 and 2021, with crypto assets, when alt season happens, when we get these big run ups, it's almost unbelievable. People, Wall Street bet situation 2017, it happens. People get euphoric, and then it's done. So, all I was gonna say is we have not had that yet. And I think that is still loading, and monetary policy is loading that for us. So, who knows? April, November next year, I think 2026 will surprise people. Heck, maybe it'll surprise me. But let's see. Bobby says, I just mine fiat now so I can stack Bitcoin. I like that. Travis says, we have had political stuff going on to pass crypto bills, though. Yeah, remember Gary Gensler? Thank God he's gone. So a lot were skeptical. Think about it. Would you put billions in crypto if the past bills could have you breaking the law. I have to read that again. Would you put billions in crypto if the past bills would have you could have you breaking the law? I mean, when you say breaking the law, I try to step back here because, you know, a lot of us have different philosophies on the markets in general. I do not think stock markets or assets are good or bad. But Wall Street and billionaires, they're great at manipulating them and taking profits better than any of us ever can. So we use the charts to our advantage to try to gain, some sort of edge. And yeah, I mean, God, you're going to send my brain into so many different directions. How dare you? Um, even stuff like, where is it? Trump coin. Someone asked for TA on Trump coin in a YouTube short not too long ago. It's like, oh, geez. Like, 2017, we had the BitConnect thing. And if you need a good laugh, you want some good crypto lore, YouTube Carlos Matos BitConnect. It's like a rite of passage. That was BitConnect of 2018 was FTX of 2021. In every cycle, crypto gets dumber, and yet the market cap grows. And so it's like, I think about like what's going to be if this is, how stupid some of these crypto things are now. What's it going to be 4 years from now? How could every cycle? I'm like, how could it get any worse? And it does. Not that there's good money to be made, but I think 98% is crap. I really do. And so again, when I look for crypto assets, I take a look at mining stocks. People are like, there's millions of altcoins. You know what? There isn't millions of Bitcoin mining stocks. There's only less than a dozen worth paying attention to with transparent balance sheets. Can you look at the balance sheet of any of these mining or of any of the altcoins? No, like you don't know if that money's just floating there or if it's being put to any use or any good. They don't have balance sheets or things that you can see with full transparency like you can with mining stocks who also do some AI, get some AI profits as well through data centers. So I take a look at these mining stocks. I was going to, show you Mara or Riot. And I'm not telling you to buy any one or the other, but these move up with Bitcoin historically. Look at that. Look at how these things move with Bitcoin. And altcoins move after Bitcoin tops. So yeah, I look at these mining stocks that have full transparency and like, okay, Bitcoin went from 20K to 120K. That was a 6x. What's Mara done from bottom to top? 900. Okay, the 9x, and this is one of the worst performing mining stocks right here. Wolf, TeraWolf. So Bitcoin did a 6x this cycle. What's Wolf done? Bottom to top. 26x from the very bottom. I mean, guys, you want to look for altcoins? Look no further. You know what I'm saying? So if you like Bitcoin, hey, I'm telling you, do your research on some of these mining stocks. I mean, iron, my God. Of course, this is the number one. Let's get rid of that Bitcoin in the background. Um, Again, Bitcoin did a 6x. This did a 56x. So, we know these stocks like to move with Bitcoin. Again, this is late 22. I'm not even going from the very bottom. 4,000% up. So, yeah, I have some Cypher. I have some Wolf. I have some Mara. Right. I got some money in a number of these. And, they go the way Bitcoin goes, but the returns are a lot better. I'm just saying. So, do your homework, and we have altcoins with balance sheets. What's not to love about that? But what isn't to love is this. I mean, once the cycle's over, as a little weenie would say, that's what not to love. So somebody once commented, it's better to sell too soon than too late. 100% agree. So I have levels where I dollar cost average in. I have levels I dollar cost average out. We have some comments to get to. Let's see. Yeah, this is why we haven't had alt season. In my view, they're waiting for the clear green light. Travis, agree. Appreciate you being here. The new pass bill, I think, will remove a lot of the trash coins. I know what you're talking about. I remember like skimming over something I read. Can you reference or if you know the name of that bill, please share what that is because I'd like to read more into it. I mine Bitcoin too. Nice. I hope it doesn't give you too much of a headache or make too much noise, but that's awesome. I was so close to starting up a little bit of a personal mining rig operation in 2017, in the fall of 2017. I kick myself to this day for not doing it. There is a reason they move with Bitcoin. Go to your indicators and add Bitcoin hash ribbons. I can explain more if needed. Bitcoin hash ribbons. Is that an indicator? Hash ribbons. I would assume this one. I would assume this is what you're talking about. Let's go to Wolf. I have heard hash ribbons been talked about before. I mean, yeah, they look like they're in the same place. And add Bitcoin hash. So there's a special Bitcoin hash ribbon. Oh. Right here. I think. You're saying yes. Yes to the first one or the second one? I assume the first one. The second one, I'm like, eh. But yeah, I have seen someone somewhere talk about hash ribbons before. Oh, good, I saved it. Yeah, you got the right one. Okay. Yeah, I mean, yeah. Um, I love my mining stocks, man. Um, and not to brag, um, but late 22, I, I was lucky enough to get in on some Nvidia and Palantir, and I may have sold a little early. Okay, I sold Nvidia right around the time they were doing the what was it the stock split. I think it was around like 140, and I was really proud of myself for selling the top, and of course it goes back up. Um, and I sold some Palantir when it was like at a 600 P ratio, and I made great money on Palantir. However, I rotated those profits into and across various Bitcoin mining stocks. And those mining stocks went up anywhere between 50% to, close to a 10x. And so when you multiply a 10x times a 10x, I mean, I got 100x on spot buying within a few years. So, you know, I'm not saying this to toot my own horn, but people, they want the alt season game. And, here's what I know about alt season. Someone brought up Ben Cohen earlier in the live stream. And he says, what was it? Altcoins are oscillators at best, and I agree with him. Okay, but when do altcoins run? This is the simplest way I can put it. We have alt season when Bitcoin tops and it's too expensive to keep buying. That is what's happened both cycles. Once Bitcoin tops, and yes, we had a double top last cycle. Okay, Once Bitcoin tops and it's too expensive to buy, that's when we get the Bitcoin dominance rotation. Okay, so we can add on Bitcoin, we can add on Ethereum, Bitcoin. Okay, you see it peaking with dominance before rotation. Again, this is alt season. I will add on Ethereum in a second. Actually, let's just do it now. I can add on both of them. Here we go. And we'll make, ooh, nice. It's a different color. Look at when Ethereum tops compared to Bitcoin. Okay. Alt season happens on the way up to Ethereum topping. Okay. Look. Again, Bitcoin dominance. This is alt season. Okay. This is Bitcoin topping right here within this candle. It wasn't the very top of the dominance peak, but again, it doesn't need to be. Okay. Here, altcoins were doing well. Okay. Chainlink doing well through here, a little bit of pullback there. Here, they explode. And once you see all the altcoins like already up 10x or whatever, that's, take your profit here. You don't have to wait till the very end because trust me, you wait a week too long, you will regret it. Learn from me and my Tron experience. Still made great money, but yeah, it's the better to sell too early. If you get 100x, just frickin' take it. I don't know why I didn't sell when I should have in 2017, but anyways, once Bitcoin tops and is too expensive to keep buying, then we get rotation. Then we get that money flow. Again, money flow, we are here. And Ethereum's doing well before QE. So I think, Bitcoin or crypto alt season, we've had crypto peak before the stock has peaked in the past. And I think we might be setting up for that. Again, let's go to the SPX. Let's get rid of one of these. There we go. Let's look at these Bitcoin peaks. This was 2013. Look how much more the stock market went up. Okay. How about 2017? I mean, it's pretty close to a local top. But then it just kind of kept going up. Of course, 2021. I mean, this was alt season right here. The market had more to go. This was the double top. It's pretty much done topping not too much later. Okay. Lately, I mean, some people say that was the top, maybe. But yeah, I think, again, we compare monetary policy 2019. Like, I think 2026 has the possibility of surprising the bears. I'm still team bull. I'm team log regression stretch cycle guy. All right, Chainlink dominance just flipped, heading up. There's a Chainlink dominance. I'm a Chainlink fan, and I have not looked at Chainlink dominance. That's embarrassing. I didn't even know there was such a thing. But hey, I can admit it. I'm looking for Chainlink dominance. What I would guess it would be, and it's late, I'm probably going to have to call this soon. Would it be Chainlink divided by Bitcoin? Let's go to crypto. Link USD divided by Bitcoin. I mean, yeah, maybe this is a higher low. But yeah, even this link compared to Bitcoin, this does look like it's going to head up. I talked about this in one of my recent videos. I have that one chart talking about large caps, but total 2 ES, excluding stables, minus everything outside the top 10, divided by Bitcoin. I like this chart the more I look at it. And I think, even the moving averages were showing where there's good resistance. And here was alt season. Literally when we broke above that resistance. Not that there wasn't good areas to buy in here, but once we broke above the moving averages, look at that. March, this was literally alt season. Let's add Bitcoin dominance. Yeah. So, you know, all I'm saying, I like this chart. Again, this includes Ethereum minus stables, or yeah, get rid of the stables, excluding stables minus others, everything outside the top 10 divided by Bitcoin. So these are the levels to beat. And maybe it's going to be a more muted alt season. That's okay. I mean, it can be more muted, but yeah. Um, the only reason we get alt season this time is because of printing. Trust me, we will get to a point where BlackRock and Vanguard uh, won't sell, which means no rotation. So print alt season. Yeah, I see what you're saying. Um, I'm curious, Travis Kelly, what your thoughts are, future wise, on Bitcoin mining stocks. Because some of them, they're in the AI data center game. Um, I, there's arguments for and against that. The argument for is that with decreased supply and increased demand, that mining stocks will still be profitable, even though it's harder to mine Bitcoin. But then I've heard the opposite, of course, when it's always bearish, that because there's a decreased supply, or you can only get mine half as much Bitcoin, profits won't be as good. So I've heard both arguments, but I'm curious what you think. Every coin has a dominance, and it shows when Chainlink employees sell. Every time they come out with something new, it goes up and they sell. At least they have a fixed supply. Yeah, I mean, as far as, one word, it's a trigger word for people, utility. As far as altcoins with utility, I like the Chainlink potential. That, and it's one of those coins I kind of scratch my head when I'm like, this thing's outside the top 10. It yeah, and I'm not trying to be, like XRP army people, or I'm not trying to pick a side or be tribal. Um, I think there's good things about XRP, but it's already up here. How much higher could XRP go? $5? You know, Chainlink I think can go a lot higher. I think the potential versus the risk is there. That's why I like it. Anyways, 13 in the live chat. I have loved the conversation with you guys, Travis, Bobby. Let's see. Let's go back here. Flow still. Dr. 420. Cheers. You never told me what you were drinking, dude. He probably had too much and fell asleep listening to me. Because dang, it's late. But anyways, this has been Nighttime Crypto Therapy with Market Psychology. Guys, thank you so much for being here. This is just something new I wanted to do. I have some time at night. And, either I'm watching a movie, or sipping something, looking at charts. And I'm like, if I'm going to look at charts, why not just do a live stream and have conversations with you guys? And this has been one of the best live streams. So, Bobby, appreciate you. Keep it going, brother. I'll try. There will definitely be more of these after New Year's, because my schedule will change. He says you're drinking a good IPA. I'm not a fan of the bitterness. I'm curious which brand of IPA. There is one IPA I had recently, and it wasn't too IPA-ish. I want to say it was called Breakside, and it was like one of my favorite IPAs. Yeah, Breakside IPA. If you can get your hands on it. I'm not an IPA guy, but I was like, damn, I could like drink on this. It was very good. Good talk. See you next time, night, y'all. Yeah, likewise. Let's end it there. Thank you guys so much. Have a great night. Take care, everyone. Goodbye.